इतना सफर है कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में। इतना सा फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में ये अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Good afternoon, one and all. Franchise India, the brand which enjoys the legacy of 23 years, is an advisory company. Is Asia's largest advisory and franchisee solution company. We have helped all international and national brands to expand their business with our 70 plus offices, and we are expert in providing advice to all our potential business buyers. We welcome you to 128th edition of Business Opportunity Chai webinar series. This is the platform where you interact with the brand of the day and you digitally speak to them. We welcome our panel member, management team of Franchise India, Mr. Gaurav Maria and Ms. Sonia Chaudhary. And today they'll be talking about industry. They'll be sharing their thoughts, their suggestions and feedbacks also. And we'll be talking more about the brand. The brand of the day today is Biryani Queen. And it's our privilege to invite Ms. Founder and CEO of Biryani Queen, Mr. Chaitanya Sabharwal, talking about this brand. They're already operational with 20 plus successful outlets in Delhi NCR. And today we'll be talking about the kind of the value proposition and format is offering for all of us. So thank you so much, Chaitanya, for joining us today. We would like to start the formal session with you.
चैतन्य जी, आप सुन सकते हैं हमें? He's on mute.
Sorry. Hi, Mr. Maria. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Very good morning. I'm sorry, there's a technical glitch on the video side. So the team is working parallelly on the different computer. So once they're ready, we can, I'll switch on to that computer. But meanwhile, I will start the presentation from here. I hope that should be okay.
That's okay. That's fine.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Very good morning once again. And thank you so much for coming to join this particular webinar session about Biryani Queen. So just to begin with, Biryani Queen is India's one of the renowned fastest growing biryani brand. We now have the presence almost all over India, right from Ladakh to Hyderabad, Kolkata, Bangalore, and from the north side, I mean, I would say Delhi NCR.
If I can request, हमने हर वेबिनार में हम कोशिश करते हैं कि फाउंडर जो है वो अपने ब्रांड के पीछे जो स्टोरी है वो बताएं. So if you can start how Biryani Queen was built, you know, and we want to tell our audience that how this brand really came up.
Right. So how this brand has actually started is this brand was started by the real biryani queen, Smita Sabharwal. She is the one who actually earned this title of biryani queen by innovating 15 types of biryanis right from the beginning. That was in way back in February 2014. Are you able to see me now? I'm on another screen. Is that okay?
Absolutely perfect.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. So I'll start once again. So this brand was started by Smita Sabharwal way back in February 2014. The challenge was that she's one of the renowned foodie who have been always been craving for the right kind of food. One fine day she was looking forward to a great biryanis, and ultimately when I returned back from work, I saw that there was about 14 types of biryanis which were lying on the dining table. I immediately got concerned and asked that is there some guests invited today for at home. So that time when she actually mentioned that no, there is no guest being invited, I was craving for the right kind of a biryani in Gurgaon, and I'm sorry I couldn't find any. That was the day when she said, now I know what is missing in the biryanis around Delhi NCR. So she started preparing her own version of biryani, and that was the first ever produced jackfruit biryani from the stable of Biryani Queen. And immediately, because she had already a great PR relationships around Delhi NCR, especially in Gurgaon, through a network, she managed to sell that biryani for about 4 kilos what she has prepared of jackfruit biryani, and from next day the orders started popping in. That's when the business of Biryani Queen was born. At that time, it was not Biryani Queen, it was From My Kitchen. That was the brand which we started with. She started with, and from there, within 1 year and precisely 3 months, she earned the title of Biryani Queen through the renowned chef Sabyasachi, which is one of the great chefs in Delhi NCR. From Sabyasachi, and then the validation came from Chef Kunal Kapoor. That's how the Biryani Queen, and that's when we decided that, because everybody started addressing her Biryani Queen, because of the kind of the varieties she used to do, 15 types of biryanis, 5 vegetarian and 10 non-vegetarian biryanis. She was the first home chef who actually taught the world, or shown the world, that biryanis can be vegetarian also. Earlier, prior to that, the only biryanis in the name of vegetarian biryani which was served was the veg biryani. But suddenly the jackfruit biryani, the Katil biryani started picking up really well for Biryani Queen. Now, the difference between the kinds of biryanis, what is being done outside Biryani Queen or from any other brand, and Biryani Queen, our USP is that we are following the original form of pulao, of doing pulao in India, which is more nutritious than any other biryani, because we do not drain out the water content of the entire biryanis, whatever it has been prepared. We don't drain out completely. Hence, it becomes all the nutrition values are still remaining in the every ingredient of the biryani. Moving to the next part, Biryani Queen is the only brand in India which has been doing 28 kind of biryani. Now, let me just cover up the part that how Biryani Queen and what is the vision of the Biryani Queen. Biryani Queen wants to be, we move on to the next screen. Biryani Queen, we want to be the most preferred biryani brand option for our esteemed customers around the globe, which means, first of all, I'll cover that Biryani Queen was the first biryani brand which is able to come on a QSR platform, which means we take the same time to prepare biryani. What is the time taken to prepare one sub by Subway? So our vision is also more aligned with what the Subway vision is and where the Subway has reached today. 45,000 outlets all across the globe. And that is something I may not be, I'm being the founder of the Biryani Queen, I may not be able to achieve, I may or may not be able to achieve during my lifetime, but that is something which the company has drawn the vision that we would like to be as great as Subway in the world. What is the need that why we brought biryanis on a QSR platform? The reason being, we felt the need that biryani is something which is the world's #1 cuisine. Biryani is something which is the most premium cuisine of the world. And so as for India, biryani is something which brings the wow factor. Like if somebody asks you at home, what have you ordered for the food or for food, or what have you made? If let's say if somebody asks to moms asking that, what have you made today? If she says pizza, that doesn't bring the wow factor on anybody's face. But if she says biryani, then definitely it becomes a wow factor, and it brings a smile on the face that biryani is being made for everyone. One, it is a family cuisine. Second, it is the most premium cuisine. Third, it is a meal in itself. And that is the reason it is the first choice of the customers around the globe. Doing biryanis, everyone knows that biryani takes roughly about 45 minutes to 1 hour. However, we are able to crack that particular proposition, the equation, and at any outlet of Biryani Queen, all 28 biryanis we can do in 10 minutes time. That is the reason we are able to bring it on a QSR platform. Then moving to the next part, we're doing 28 kinds of biryanis. Now the next USP of Biryani Queen is we do biryanis in a conceptualized way. What does it mean? The conceptualized way means we are not just doing dum biryanis, we are also doing dyed biryanis, which is first of its kind in the brand. We are doing, just a moment. Sorry about this. We are doing kids biryanis. Like McDonald's does Happy Meals, we do kids biryanis. So that the kids can also enjoy the biryani variant, which is of less of the spices and less of the flavors, I would say. Am I audible?
Absolutely audible. Very clearly audible.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Now I think you should close one speaker. You open up both.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm audible now.
Absolutely audible. I think you now closed both speakers. Mr. Chaitanya, you have closed both speakers now. You are actually logged in for two systems. You've closed both speakers. Open one. One speaker you open up, any of them. Yeah, this is fine.
It's fine?
Yeah, this is fine now. No problem.
Perfect. So we are, besides kids biryanis, we are also doing biryanis which are called Sattvic biryanis. We are doing international and regional biryanis. One thing the brand has on its mind that we do not want it to relate make our brand communal or regional, either ways. Why? What does it mean? Is that with any ads of Biryani Queen or with any creators of Biryani Queen, you will never see something like Qutub Minar, Char Minar, or maybe the fort, or maybe the vessels what the Mughals used to use. So we do not want it to do it a communal style at all, because we see that the Biryani Queen has a fate internationally, and to make it, so we wanted to do it neutral, completely neutral, of that it should not be related to any of the particular cuisine like Hyderabadi. Imagine a person sitting in New York, or a person sitting in Spain, in Portugal, or maybe Madrid. How does they are able to understand what Hyderabadi or a Kolkata biryani or a Mumbai biryani or a Peshawari biryani or Lavri biryani means? So that is the reason we named all our biryanis as by the name of the foodie I would say the terminologies: tempting mutton keema biryani, delicious chicken biryani, delightful vegetable biryani, succulent prawns biryani, savory fish biryani, and that kind. So keeping all this in mind, we did not want to make it regional. We did not want to make it communal. Hence, all creatives, whatever we are doing, are completely neutral. Let's understand that why Biryani Queen. Authentic dum biryanis is what we are doing, which is similar to Hyderabadi style, but we are exactly doing the Awadhi style of biryani. 28 plus variants with dyed biryanis, kids biryanis, international and regional biryanis, and sattvic biryanis, which are being recently added. Unique, obviously, the secret is the spices, the kind of spices which we use from the 4 territories of the world. We are able to bring the biryanis and do biryanis in 10 minutes on a QSR platform. We use 100% of microwavable earthenware. That's the USP of the brand. Because it is the most premium cuisine of India, the average ticket size automatically goes beyond 700 to 1,000 rupees. That is again the benefit to the franchisees which we can bring it to. Moving to the next slide. Now, this is what our expertise is, and that's how we see Biryani Queen in totality. There are a couple of things which we are not doing right now, but which is something which is now being immediately we can start with. I have mentioned that we are doing dum biryanis, we are doing the dyed biryanis. Now, third is the cold biryanis. That is something which we are going to start new, which will be a kind of an appetizer kind of product. It will be served chilled on the bed of ice. So that's how the cold biryanis are going to be. These can be consumed in the portion sizes of just 100 grams, not more than that. Coming to then we do regional and international biryanis. We do biryani thalis and combos, dessert biryanis, kebabs, hot and cold beverages. There's one item which is missing from here is we have recently started North Indian curries like butter chicken and tandoori chicken also as a part of, so that we do not want any person or any member of the family to go empty stomach from our restaurant at any given point of time. So that makes a complete meal. Whether somebody is not able to wanting to have rice, especially in the North Indian state or maybe Rajasthan and Gujarat, we do have an option of breads as well as the curries now available within Biryani Queen. Moving to the next slide. Then our expertise ranges. These are the original pictures, and this is how we serve our biryanis in the earthenware at our given restaurants, available all our outlets. Next slide. These are the creatives of Biryani Queen. The most favorite among these are the jackfruit biryani. We do almost 2,000 kilos of jackfruit biryani every month. Next. These are just the creators. I'm showing it to you. This is Biryani Queen flyer menu, what we use for our cloud kitchens and for the distribution to the households so that they can order biryani through Biryani Queen app. This is the front side. Next is the back side of the entire menu. We do the portion sizes of on the next screen, please. We do portion sizes of half kg to 3 kg. Up to 3 kg is somebody who can order as a single pack of biryanis. These rates are very city specific. Every city will have a different rate depending upon, like for example, Goa prawns biryani is definitely going to be cheaper than the mutton biryani or a chicken biryani. But in Delhi, prawns biryani is going to be costly because of the availability and the pricing of the prawns. These are the brands we are our channel partners in terms of promotion of Biryani Queen franchisees or in terms of promotion of Biryani Queen brand as well as the product. This is what customer speaks about Biryani Queen. These are the awards which we have secured right from the beginning, since 2015 when Smita had started the brand. competitive edge. Now, how are we different from the more than 100 brands which are available in India? Obviously, one, we are doing biryanis in the conceptualized way. We have low-fat options available in biryani. The best part with Biryani Queen is that all our biryanis are customizable. Means when we are saying 28 biryanis, 10 minutes time, all the biryanis are possible. How is that possible even? If we are able to make that possible, we are not only just saying that we are making it possible, we are also making it possible that you can even customize it. Like with Subway, how you choose whether you want capsicum, you don't want capsicum, you want olives, you want jalapenos, you want extra meat. So all that is possible with Biryani Queen biryani. And again, I'm saying it can be made available within 10 minutes and with a zero wastage model. Not even a single grain of rice go waste in our model of Biryani Queen by doing these 28 kinds of biryanis, because everything gets prepared separately, everything gets prepared fresh, and it is being served fresh. And the moment whatever there is let's say if there is any leftover rice is there, is something which we just consume it within the staff, and then hence there is no wastage at all. Our concept expertise makes us stand apart, of course. We have a global vision and long-term successful business venture. The investment ranges between 15 to 75 lakhs. That's the total investment size which we work upon. We are working on with our model. Moving to the next slide. This is our team. So me and Smita, we both are the founders of Biryani Queen, and been having a great experience in terms of the corporate experience, in terms of handling large organizations and big leadership positions. Next. Here we are on the franchise model. Over here, we have listed the first three models are the QSR restaurant, QSR dine-in and delivery, and QSR food court. All these three models are the kitchen link models. Means by kitchen link model means that any franchisee who do not have much time to invest on the venture and cannot pay attention to the outlets can straight away get into these models wherever our friendly kitchens are located, which will help them procure all cooked and the processed material and packaging through central kitchen and the warehouse, and their outlet can be run by itself through small teams. First three models are completely linked with our other friendly kitchen models. Hence, no manufacturing is allowed in these particular outlets except barring the cooking rice or maybe kebabs. That's all is what is required in these particular three models. Fourth model is the QSR with manufacturing rights. Now over here we are passing on the recipes to the franchisee in terms of they are responsible of manufacturing and processing all the ingredients and the items which are available, need to be available within the menu, and they have all the rights to manufacture the processed items as well, which is not possible in the first three cases. Then we have recently added a new model, which is the cloud kitchen model, and which is really going great, and we are able to establish more and more cloud kitchens along with the support from Franchise India all across Indian states. Cloud kitchen model is again going to be the manufacturing model, wherein we are giving the manufacturing rights to the cloud kitchen owners, investors, and they are running it very successfully. The franchise fees ranges between 7 to 10 lakhs, I would say that, because the 4 lakh model of the food court is something which is being mentioned as it is only possible where you do not want a delivery rights, or any mall where you have taken a food court model does not allow you to do the deliveries outside the mall. There are certain malls which have those restrictions. There the model is restricted to 4 lakh rupees franchisee fees. Otherwise, the moment you start doing deliveries also through that, and you're connected with Zomato and Swiggy of the world, then the franchisee fee starts from 7 lakhs rupees, because that's as good as the individual delivery outlet. So investment for the franchisee fees, the total investment ranges between 15 to 70 lakhs. 70 lakhs is the master franchise model. Franchise fees ranges from 7 to 10 lakhs, depending upon the model. If it is a master franchise model, then it is 21 lakhs. Royalty, 8% of the total gross revenue. Profit returns is something which now over here we expect everyone to sell at least 100 plates a day, which gives you a revenue of about 30,000 rupees a day. 100 plates a day, 30,000 rupees a day, at 100 plates a day at 300 rupees per plate on an average ticket size makes 30,000 rupees a day, and for 30 days in a month makes 9 lakh rupees revenue. If you're able to do 9 lakh rupees revenue a month, easily you can take away 2 lakh rupees as net profit. So the returns are about 20 to 30%, and the payback period is something which you can expect anywhere between 12 to 18 months. So this is the kind of the model which we are working on. Because this is a main cuisine model, this is a main cuisine product. Biryanis are something which is very, very close to the North Indian style of the product which we do. Hence, we require a proper kitchen which is going to be at least of a 400 to 500 square feet size. That is the kitchen we will be looking forward to. In case if it is a kitchen link model, then the kitchen size can be restricted to 200 square feet only. Because if it is a kitchen link model, automatically you will be supported from the central kitchen who is preparing and processing the food for you. If you are on a manufacturing model, then we expect the kitchen size should be about 400 to 500 square feet minimum. Moving to the next slide. What is that you can expect? Why choose Biryani Queen? Now, it's the most popular biryani QSR chain now in India. I would say that this is something which is a world slide. Vision to open 100 QSR in next 3 years. We offer fresh, healthy, delicious, made-to-order biryanis. Made-to-order means you just ask for it, what level of customization is required, and we'll be able to provide you that. We do concept-based biryanis. We have relatively low investments as compared to the major QSR or the biryani brands available around the town. We use the highest quality of ingredients and no compromise on that. Hence, the taste is going to be universal. Our operations require no cooking or procurement of raw materials. In case if you're on a kitchen link model, and our store designs are flexible, we are not very finicky about that. No, you have to make this much of investment for this particular design pattern. We are flexible as of now, because our focus is to make customer happy and make customer delight, and not unnecessary spending on the designing of the stores. We provide comprehensive training course and ongoing support through our headquarters based out of Gurgaon, local master franchise and field staff, to local master franchise and field staff. So, and we also provide 100% staff support. In case if you require a staff from Biryani Queen, we will be able to provide you, help support you in that manner as well. Some people may ask me that in case if the staff leaves, then what happens? We take full responsibility and ownership. In case of the staff is leaving from the restaurant, we have surplus staff always available with us, and we will be able to send that person without hampering even a day of your business. Next. This is support I was mentioning about: location assessment and finalization, outlet design and fit out, franchise training, field assistance available for franchisees, marketing support and advertising assistance, inventory management and logistics support, ongoing operational support, and even 100% staff support. That is all what we provide for Biryani Queen. There's one slide which I would like to show it over here. Just a moment. Is there a way I can share my screen? Yes, I can share my screen over here. Just a moment. You're able to see the screen? This is one slide I would like to talk at before I end this particular presentation. If we see that these are the India facts which are available, hence we immediately started focusing towards South India and the East India territories. Hence, we are able to crack the Bangalore. We are able to do Bangalore franchisee, Kolkata franchisee, Andhra Pradesh. We now have signed up about 3 franchisees. So that's something which we are able to focus on, because if we see from north, the South India and East India is being covered with more non-vegetarians, and Biryani Queen, or for the fact of biryanis, people think of that it's more of a non-vegetarian product. But thanks to Smita, that she's able to bring about 11 kinds of vegetarian biryanis. Hence, our entire focus, no matter how much we try to capture the South India and East India market, because of we do 11 vegetarian biryanis, we are able to capture the North Indian states as well. And this is how the current India looks like, that what is the percentage of vegetarian resides in what particular state, and what percentage of non-vegetarian resides in what particular state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chaitanya ji.
Very
detailed presentation, and I like that you have a vision to build an Indian brand like a Subway, because I'm a big fan of Subway, what they've created. It's actually creating a systematic and very, very standardized offering, which is high quality, but still people get a personalized food. They can make their own food, they can change few things, and that's where your vision is. And you have done it successfully in many parts. So let's start with, while you have covered everything, so I'll pick up 5 different aspects and go one by one, so our audience has more information and understanding of that. And then we'll also take a lot of Q&A questions from audience. So please, friends, go out and write your questions on Q&A box. Sonia and I would really take that questions as we go along. And Sonia, you can also chip in anytime you want to participate in between in terms of your questions. So let's start with the first part of the business model itself. You know, while you have explained your USPs and structure, but this is in last 4 or 5 years, there is kind of a big drive of biryani brands coming in the market. You know, so they almost I don't want to name in the forum, but there are many names have been built and so on. While everybody has led from something, somebody is led from portion size, somebody is led from the origin of biryani, somebody is led from something else, somebody is led from something else, packaging, offering, and a lot of other things. But I think the market is still wide bigger, because this all came in when Zomato and Swiggy, and this is what audience I'm talking about, really started becoming analytic companies. Analytic companies because they started getting orders for people to do that. And I can tell you now that biryani stands at the top of it. So one of the topmost demand side was seen by the Zomato and Swiggy. And when they started seeing this demand, it was never thought that North India or other places which were relatively less penetrated by biryani brands would have a higher demand for that, and there was not much of supply available. Then the companies, a lot of people saw an opportunity to do that. Till date, I think the demand is higher. Even a lot of these companies, Swiggy, Zomato, created their own brands because to service that demand, because there was not so much of serviceability. So they created a lot of brands. A lot of specialized dark kitchen companies came in, which also created specialized brands and so on. So today, how do you really see this landscape and what has changed? Some of them were not able to survive. Some were able to survive. Some are thriving now. You are also one of the top players in the market. Where do you see this industry going, and what would be your differentiator? And it can be the practice of the way the food is made. It is the efficiency, the last mile, and maybe multiple things. While the taste and the consumer priority always remain the head. So everybody really survives only if the customer likes you as a product and quality. But what else would be your differentiation as a business model versus all that is available? And also give us a little aspect of what is happening to this landscape. How do you see this next 2 to 3 years? Is this all the brands going to survive, not survive, and where you feel that you would have an advantage in that?
Okay. So I would like to take it in this way that One, biryani being the premium cuisine, obviously, and I would say it also has the ability to add in the North Indian cuisines and the Mughlai cuisines within it. It has a great future in terms of, because somebody has asked me the first question, is asking the first question of COVID-19 has an impact on every business, especially food. What are the good aspects of Biryani Queen in this current scenario? So I'll start with the current scenario, what is going on over here. Despite of COVID-19, in fact, COVID-19 is being a very great, I would say, time for any of the F&B restaurant here. Why I say so? What had happened in prior to until 2019, like the way it had happened for .com bubble burst, if I'm not wrong, in 2000. I think that is exactly the same time when Mr. Maria had started the Franchise India. And look how successful he is, despite of the .com bubble burst, what had happened during in the times of 2000. COVID-19 has brought in more inclination towards cloud kitchens, and hence we are able to close more and more cloud kitchens than the restaurants. At least for next 2 years, the market sentiment is going to be towards the cloud kitchen, and rather than focusing towards, because see, no, population has not reduced. No country's population has been reduced, but this has actually filtered the quality restaurants, quality F&B brands who have been focusing on their products, who have great products, great quality and great taste. So F&B industry will definitely survive, and it will, in fact, with now, this is, I always call it a pit stop. So COVID-19 has brought a pit stop for F&B industry. The moment this COVID-19 phase is over, which is going to be, say, another month or two, or maybe 3 at max, once the vaccine is going to be out, we will get a thrust, the way the aircraft takes the thrust while taking off. So we will get the thrust in the form of, because 70%, even Swiggy and Zomato, they claim that about 30 to 40% of the restaurants are out from the list. They have taken, basically delisted themselves, which means, and even the market study is that almost 60% of the restaurants, they are not going ahead with this particular thing, because it's not because that they don't have the ability, sorry, they don't have the taste or the quality, or they don't. This entire situation of COVID-19 has filtered the restaurants who do not had their vision or had any vision or focus towards the industry. They will get filtered. So when I say the population is not reduced, restaurants are reducing. So now only the brands who have the long-term vision will be able to mark their success in the future. Keeping this particular situation in mind, definitely, and the new platforms which are coming up now for the online deliveries, I think the business is going to boost from what it was in 2019, because earlier the business was shared. Now the business are not going to be shared. The entire focus is going to be on the brand. However, this COVID-19 has also brought some good things to the F&B industry. Like everybody which was just rushing out in terms of listing on Zomato or Swiggy, and then creating more and more kitchens and not focusing on the quality or being ability to perform by themselves, is something which we are able to think through. And we are now more going to be self-dependent than depending on the online aggregators, in the format of, like, we have our own app, which is being launched on 1st of October, which is getting launched on day after tomorrow. Biryani Queen will have its own app, which means we will be able to save that commission which we are able to share with Swiggy and Zomato. Now we will be able to share that with our franchisees. So we are launching our own app. We are not just that, we introducing the loyalty programs, including and popularizing our safety measures. That is something which has came very, very positive for the brand, and hence we are able to take this forward. So answering to the next question, which was that whether we are open for tier 2 and tier 3 cities, we are already existing in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. The Biryani Queen is available in Kota with the 120-seater outlet. Not only in Kota, Rajasthan, we are there in Ladakh. Despite of LAC situation which is going on, Ladakh outlet has been performing very well because that's the only Biryani Queen outlet at the world's highest altitude. And it has been performing really well. It's a 52-seater outlet. When I asked him just a week ago to my franchisee that how it is being doing, he must have been facing a lot of challenges and issues. He said, no, there is no issue at all over here when you actually come local. All the flights which are going to Ladakh are coming as absolutely full. Though there are less flights as of now, but they are all full. People are still going in, people are going there, people are still going for the sightseeing or whatsoever, because the season is going to come to an end. From next month, Ladakh is going to be closed, but however, our Biryani Queen restaurant works all round the year.
Very interesting. So now let's go on to the next question, which is about supply chain and how do you maintain the consistency of the food, because biryani, and give us also because you've been repeating about that it comes in the same Subway timelines, which means that deliver in 3, 4, 5 minutes. What is the process of food preparation? And give us also indication, because you've also mentioned that somebody would get a manufacturing rights. What is that? So in your presentation, so not supply chain. Let's talk about supply chain. Let's talk about the consistency, and let's talk about how the food preparation life cycle works. How does it work?
So the method what we use is the Awadhi style method. In the Awadhi style method is what the original ancient times of doing pulao in India. The biryanis are being done in the layered format. When we say layered format, every material has to be cooked prior before making the biryani. When we say that every material has to cook prior, obviously the cooking of mutton, cooking of chicken, cooking of jackfruit takes a lot of time. So what we do is we have a food processing method in terms of we cook all these ingredients separately beforehand, and the standard kitchen models, the product what we prepare, we blast chill that. Blast chill means in the sense the moment the product is manufactured, is cooked, is processed, like let's say if we prepared mutton or we prepared chicken, we guarantee that the taste of the mutton or chicken will not change from day 1 to day 15. When I say that we have a zero wastage model, anything which is being left over, say on the 10th day, which is very, very rare to happen, because the kind of the orders which we receive, the kind of because once you're into the business, then you automatically get to sync and align with the entire your sale and supply chain method process. So which helps you that you will always be preparing the material for 3 or 4 days only, which may last up to 15 days. So the kind of the spices, the blend, we do not use any preservatives, but the kind of the combination of spices and the material which we use, the high quality materials which we use, the taste will not change from day 1 to day 15 while you're using those products. Only challenge is that once you are freezing those products at minus 20 degrees temperature, you are not supposed to take it out unless it is need to made ready for the customer. You do not have to, because if you keep shifting the product or the iced product and you warm it and then you put it back in the ice, that's not allowed. So we have to follow certain processes as far as maintaining those standards. And once we do that, and say Subway follows exactly the same process. Otherwise, how do we ensure that the Subway's meats and Subway's tikkas, whatever you are having chicken tikka or you having maybe a veg kebab sub, then how are they maintaining those veggies and meat with them? So we follow exactly the same method. As far as the supply chain across the country is concerned, I would say that we have tie-ups with the distributors of a lot of products, especially like for example for Delhi NCR, for Bangalore, for Hyderabad, we have a tie-up with Zomato Hyperpure. I'm not talking about Zomato as Zomato aggregator platform. I'm talking about the Hyperpure, which is the warehouse of Zomato, which supplies the best quality ingredient, spick and span. If you're asking for, let's say, 50 kgs or 100 kgs of onions, you will only get the 40 mm size of onion, and all onions are going to be of the same size. There will be no wastage, no skin, nothing else. You will exactly get the bulbs, and you can actually count them. They will be zero wastage is what Zomato supplies to, and we've been using Zomato from last 1.5 years now. So the company called is Hyperpure, which cannot be used by any other person other than the people who are associated with the Hyperpure on an account opening basis.
Very interesting. So let me take the last part of the question, and then I'll let Sonia take her questions. One is on a financial model, because you made many models in that. So it is a pure dark kitchen model. There is a dark kitchen and a QSR model, which you want to count it separately, because most of the companies actually offer one, because it has both delivery and retail. Both are available in that entire thing, but you treat it as a separate thing because of, and we'd like to have an answer on that, why have you treated these separate structure. Then you have third model, which is a QSR model, where you can have dining or no dining. I mean, some of your dining stores are also there. Do you really see in the smaller cities, people want to come to biryani outlets and really want to indulge and family meals and things like that? Are you still open for doing dining stores, 25, 30 seaters kind of stores? And then you have a master franchise. So if you can give a perspective on each of these, while we have seen the numbers, it ranges from certain investment of say 20 odd lakh rupees to 35 lakh rupees kind of a investment cycle. And franchise fees would also range from 4 lakh rupees to about 10 lakh rupees. And for a master, it is a very high 60 odd lakh rupees as a franchise fees. But give us a little financial model. And more importantly, I would like to understand what is the sales you expect from each of the outlets, because that's very important. End of the day, any ROI, and these days people are very conscious because the kind of investment they want to do, everybody is looking at low cost investments. Everybody is looking at less operational difficulties, because people management, and these days food is not suffering because of demand. A lot of people are coming say, आजकल कौन order कर रहा है food? ऐसा नहीं है, especially when you go in smaller cities and I think there are queues. But truth ये है कि manpower का जरूर issue है. जो real issue आज की डेट में food के अंदर है, वो थोड़ा सा manpower का है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग टीम राइट लाना, टीम स्ट्रक्चर करना, वो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है. सो ये आंसर अगर आप कर पाए, सेल्स का बता पाए, थोड़ा सा स्पोर्ट के बारे में बताएं कि मैन पावर कैसे सप्लाई करते हैं और कितना टैलेंटेड आपके यहाँ, कितनी मैन पावर और ट्रेनिंग कैसे करी जाती है, क्योंकि सब लोगों को डर रहा है कि फूड के अंदर मैन पावर इज बीन इशू. एंड आल्सो सेग्रीगेट दैट मॉडल यू हैव डन फॉर 2 different models.
So I'll pick the first question, which is related to the model. So how we are able to manage so many models, and why we have planned for so many models is for the reason being is now the cloud kitchen in the dark or a dark kitchen rather is being added, which was a need of the hour, I would say. That is need of the hour because immediately the sentiment because of COVID-19, the sentiment shifted more towards the cloud kitchens and then rather than doing the restaurants. Hence, that was the need of the hour, and hence we were able to, because we were doing biryanis and North Indian cuisine, we did not had any problem in shifting to that particular model, and that particular model which actually helps my investor to save a lot in terms of the infrastructure cost. My investor is able to save about 7 to 10 lakh rupees on the infrastructure cost which is required to do a restaurant, because right now people are not going to the restaurant, and hence why we chose the cloud kitchen model. The difference between a cloud kitchen model and a QSR model is that in QSR model, you get a choice right in front of you that what kind of ingredient you require and what kind of ingredient you don't require. With cloud kitchen, you don't get that choice because your order is coming through the online aggregators mainly, or through the app. So through the app and through online aggregators, the customization option is available in the form of the instructions to the restaurant. It is not being available as on a face-to-face basis or on a call, which is in the case of a QSR model. Coming to the restaurant model, like for example, I gave the example of Ladakh, which is doing fantastic. In fact, because Ladakh is not kind of a place wherein you can actually work through aggregators, you still require a person to visit the restaurant and only then have the food there. Cloud kitchens also, the Ladakh is not a kind of a place wherein having only 50,000 own population, city population. You can't really expect them to have biryanis all the time and having good returns through this thing. So only way you have is mechanism you have is that it's a 52-seater restaurant. Following the COVID-19 guidelines, they are able to manage about 20 to 25 sitting even now during COVID times. Coming to the next question, sorry, no, let me just finish up this one. So I'll take another example of the restaurant, which is in Palamner, Andhra Pradesh, which is very close to Bangalore on the Bangalore-Tirupati Balaji highway. That outlet started during the COVID again, after, because it got inaugurated on 11th of March, just 10 days before the COVID lockdown happened. That outlet was doing almost 100 kilos of biryani per day when it started. However, this, due to lockdown and due to coming in the red zone, Chittoor region, Palamner falls under Chittoor region. So Chittoor region of Andhra Pradesh was under a red zone during COVID-19. So they started back in June month, and since July they've been again doing almost 30,000 rupees business a day, which is roughly about 8 to 9 lakh rupees a month. That outlet is available in a village town which has only 2,50,000 population. It's a village town on the highway and has no linkage. You can imagine that that outlet was not even exercising or able to leverage the highway population because of the COVID-19 pandemic. There was no movement on the highway which was happening. So whatever was happening was within the town and still working with the same style, because even now the highways are not fully opened in the way it was supposed to be, and people are not traveling that much. During these situations, if the outlet can actually do well, why that outlet is doing so well? Because I hope we all understand that Andhra is the state of biryanis. So when Andhra is the state of biryani, automatically I just showed the graph of India, where in the fact which clearly tells us that the entire South India to East India, the entire population is non-vegetarian, and their staple food is biryani. Hence, it has been performing really, really great. That's a 120-seater outlet. It's a full resort outlet which we have, which has a banquet hall as well as a gaming center and everything. And that is the only restaurant in the town. That is the only and the first restaurant in the town. So far, they did not have any single restaurant, and hence that it has a reason to perform well. Coming to the next question and the last question of Mr. Maria, I would like to mention that anybody wanting to come into the F&B business, no matter whether it is biryanis or it is anything else, my advice or suggestion to my co-brothers, or I would say the investors is, my partners is, or I would say future prospects are, that unless you're able to sell 100 plates a day, anything what you're doing, if you're able to sell 100 plates a day, 100 plates means at a ticket, anybody who is going to the restaurant or wanting to order from the restaurant, in today's times, whether they want product alongside beverage, alongside say kebab or starter, or maybe a dessert, average ticket size for every given good restaurant comes to about 300 rupees. Unless you're able to do 100 tickets a day of 300 rupees on an average, you should not get into this business. That's my advice to everyone. Because why you should not get into the business? Because then you will not be able to enjoy what you've come for. Second, I would say when you're ready for the strategic partnership with any brand, you should come into this particular business, F&B business, because this business is not like that you just invest. Nobody in the F&B industry or a brand is looking for a debt funding. I must say that. Means you investing and you're getting the interest like you get through the FDs in the bank. So this is not an FD business, my dear friends. This is a hardworking business. We have done the hard work and we've reached to this particular stage. 30,000 rupees a day, if you're able to crack, and only then you should be able to sleep at the night. And once you're able to break this benchmark of 25,000-30,000 rupees a day, I'm guaranteeing you the success is going to be yours always. And you will be able to generate more and more outlets of the same kind, which brings to about 9 lakh rupees of business a month, which then gets you at least 25 to 30% returns, means 2 lakh straight net profit you will take away home. if you're able to do 9 lakh rupees business a month, and you should not sleep if you're not doing that. You should carry on. You should try to find out that how you can increase your sale by joining the aggregators, by doing promotions, by increasing word of mouth, by replying to customer reviews properly. I think we all can do that, and maintaining the quality and the standards. That's it. But if somebody thinks that along with the job they can do this business, but then they have to be sure of that what the kind of the person they're keeping at the restaurant who is going to manage the show. As long as you're able to do that, you're free. You're more than welcome.
Absolutely, and this is what we've been telling them day one. No business is something which can run by people. You have to run it. It's an owner-operator model. You need to be involved, and as rightly said by Mr. Chaitanya, that you need to target your sales. You need to see your city. You need to see your demographics, and see that you can achieve that kind of number, and then only the business would be successful. Over to you, Sonia.
Thank you, Chaitanya ji. I'll pick some questions from our audience while I'm seeing a lot of these being answered, but maybe for the benefit of everyone, a lot of these answers from you will benefit others also. First,
good morning, Sonia.
Good morning.
Yeah.
First question which I want to take up is on the training. What kind of training is imparted to the franchisee one, and second, what kind of training is given to the staff which is hired, and how are they procured?
I think I missed to cover this particular point of what Mr. Maria says also. We provide training at the Gurgaon headquarter kitchen, the central kitchen, for all the staff, whether being hired by us or through our franchisees. We give them full support in terms of even recruiting the staff. That's our responsibility, but we give them the support in terms of hiring the technical staff. By what I mean by technical staff is people who are involved in cooking, people who are involved in either tandoor stuff or in the North Indian curry stuff. That's something which we recruit and train and then supply to the restaurants. That's what we've been doing so far. As far as the quality of the training and the quality of the staff is concerned, see, the entire recipe is ours. When I say that, when I compare myself with Subway, all the recipes are predefined. So technically, we do not require chefs. We don't need qualified chefs for our business. Reason we require cooks rather. Why we don't need qualified chef? Because qualified chef, the expectation from a qualified chef for any F&B, I would say brand or a hotel, is to innovate. But with all QSR brands, there is no scope to innovate. Innovation is allowed in terms of producing the quality of the same product the way it is supposed to be. Innovation is there to maintain the standard of and the guidelines and the processes of the brand. So there we require the qualified cooks, or I would say the people who have hands-on in terms of doing Indian curries and Indian breads, or maybe the tandoor stuff. That is all what we require. Hence, the salaries of our staff is very much lower in compared to the chefs of the world. And that is, we would be required, in case if the chef is required at the brand level, not at the franchisee level. Because brand has to maintain that quality, has to come up with the new processes, new guidelines, and which are going to help and safeguard the product being produced or manufactured at the franchisee level. Franchisees are just supposed to follow the instructions and the recipes the way it is being defined, the charts which are being given to them. So
I think
does
that's
this answer?
for many, and especially maybe a product like this, which is biryani, it is a volume business and very standardized. And there has been a challenge of standardization as far as Indian menu is concerned, And so many of them are not able to go beyond certain number of outlets because of diversity of Indian cuisine. But in case of biryani, it is easy to standardize a specimen of maybe rice, vegetables, or the meat, city to city. So it does not require anybody to maybe do innovation or customization of the menu at the local level. Okay, Chaitanya, next question which I want to pick up is on the marketing. This also comes from one of our viewers. What kind of support would the company give for the marketing, maybe at the time of launch and ongoing, if you can divide that between these two parts?
With that, I'm glad that this question is being asked now because so far we've been focusing on the marketing through Facebook and the social media. However, I think that is the way to go, even way forward. Earlier we had tied up with the freelancers for the marketing purpose for promoting digital listing, but now we are tying up with the national marketing agency. So to make my franchisee or the prospects understand how the marketing functions with any brand is there is a local marketing budget and there is a central marketing budget fund, which we call for in our agreements. Obviously, the marketing cost has to come out of the gross sale what they're doing, because that is the money which customer is paying to you through that money only you can park the cost of marketing. Marketing is not done through the cost of investment. Marketing is always done through the cost of the sale. So when we say the cost of the sale is there's 4% what we park for the cost of the total sale for marketing. Unlike the brands like Subway, they park about 5% or 6% towards marketing, and they do marketing completely centrally. In Biryani Queen, we have only 1% of the budget for the central marketing, which we share with all the franchisees, and then we pay to the national marketing agency. We have chosen a national marketing agency which has done the Arogya Setu app for COVID-19, and who is also responsible for promoting doing work for Incredible India. I would say the brands like Bread Talk, 1,000 outlets in 17 countries. So we have chosen a national marketing agency who is doing marketing, who is going to promote brand all over India. That is the level of marketing we are talking about. So the budget which for the Biryani Queen is only 4% of the marketing cost of the gross sale is the marketing cost. 3% is in the hands of the franchisee. Means we are still giving the franchisee the opportunity to spend the way they want to. Obviously, if they're able to spend that 3% completely, then they will be able to leverage more sale, of course. But 1% is something we are keeping it with the central marketing fund, which the franchisee has to contribute with 1% of the gross sale we're talking about, which is not much. That is a contribution which they pay, and then we add to that particular contribution, and we then plan our national marketing all across India.
Sure. Tanesh, maybe I'll pick up maybe 2 or 3 more questions, while there's some which maybe would require further discussion. But 2 questions which I wanted to pick up is one on the location. You talked about 100 plates ideally one outlet should do every day in order to be maybe breaking even or be profitable. What kind of location analysis is required and what do you do in that? And second, how long does it take? What is the lead time or gestation for somebody to reach that 100 plate kind of a structure?
See, the catchment analysis, what we do for Biryani brand is, I'll give you a theory on this. We should always be near to the residential area. We should never be near to the corporate area. Why? Because imagine when we say, let me just take this from the beginning itself. First of all, our targeted customer is not youth. So never ever target a college or an institution, because they do not have the paying capacity for the premium cuisine which we sell. Even if they want to have that particular cuisine, they will share among 4 of their friends. So your per person ticket size lowered drastically when you actually start targeting youth, and then you say that, oh, there is so much of youth and they will spend so much, they are my targeted audience. No, youth was never the target audience for Biryani Queen. Our target audience is from the age group of 24-25 to the age group of 65 or maybe beyond. That is good enough target audience, which are families, people who are married, people who are, even if they're not married, they're working. So that is the class which we target to, because they have the full paying capacity of the meals of their choices, and I would say paying power. Keeping that in mind, where should we open our outlet? So our outlet, I am not against high street, but this is not the time to open an outlet in the high street because of the high rentals. If you own a place in the high street, nothing like it. But if you don't own a place in the high street, then don't go for it, because our cuisine is a party cuisine. Biryani cuisine, imagine, when would you like to have biryani? Always. Obviously, you will not have biryanis alone. Very, very rarely you will have biryanis alone. Biryani is a party cuisine. Biryani is a family cuisine. At least with friend, you can have it. together. But alone, people they're little skeptical of whether they want to have biryani or not. So biryani, when it becomes to family cuisine, obviously families have the power to order for the cuisine. When it becomes a party cuisine, again the families have the power to order for the food. When it comes to the corporate cuisine, obviously then the corporate, again somebody who is matured enough, who have the paying capacity, who knows that yes, I can pay for it, they will order it for the entire corporate or the company orders for them. Way to open the restaurant is near to the residents. Why near to the residents? It's a very simple example that you work in a office which is a corporate hub. By 6 or 5 o'clock, it starts emptying. And the cuisine and any F&B business starts from 6 p.m. And offices shut after 6 p.m.
Correct. And also weekends become a problem. A lot of locations which are closer to the corporates don't even make money on the weekends, and they need to ensure there is enough to make during the weekdays, which is Monday through the Fridays, especially. That being also one of the reasons. Last question which I'll pick, Chaitanya, is on the business. We talked about 4 formats. Is the smallest format, which is maybe delivery or a food court model, can we do that without a master also available in the city? Is that an option with the franchisees?
Provided the person has a place for the, as I mentioned, that for a manufacturing model, you require a 400 to 500 square feet kitchen. So in case somebody wants to do a food court outlet, I can give him the opportunity of having one cloud kitchen and one food court outlet, both outlets within the same cost.
And
within
can
the
we
same
do
franchisee
a cloud
fee
kitchen
of 7
without
lakhs.
food court? You know, because some food courts today are not even operating, even in cities like Delhi, South City. You know, a place like South Delhi also, many food courts are not operating full fledged. So, is there an option of doing a cloud kitchen without
Why
going in
not?
the mall?
Yes, for sure. My, in fact, Franchise India only got me the recent cloud kitchen, which is in Malviya Nagar, and he's been doing fantastic during the COVID times. This guy is putting so great efforts that he is my favorite in terms of running the Biryani Queen outlet.
Great, Chaitanya. So I think before we conclude, maybe a last word from you to the audience. One, and second, we wanted to pick up a date also based on your availability where we can bring some prospective viewers who've come today on a one-hour call with you. Do you want to advise any date you're available, maybe in the next 3 to 4 days time?
I'm available until, I would say, 9th of October. So because from 10th, my travel is going to be back to back because of the about 5 outlets which are getting operational, new outlets which are getting operational in the month between October and November. So my travel is going to be very extensive during that particular time period from 10th onwards, because the Navratras are also starting, and then the Dasharas and all the festival times are coming. So I'll be a little occupied during that time. But till 9th, I think I'm okay.
From now, if
Any,
6th October, we can fix 6th
Perfect.
October as the date. And I will
Perfect.
request all the viewers, because I see a lot of comments. You want to have a one-on-one call, you want to understand some part of the business more in depth. I will request friends, kindly share your look. If you currently have some business you're doing, some property if you own, please share those details. It will be helpful for us to maybe do the call. More productivity would happen at the call than taking up ad hoc. And any information that you seek before the call, we'll be more than happy in sharing that information so that you can make an informed decision and come with relevant questions to be answered that point in time. So we are blocking 6th for the month. And Chaitanya, before we leave, maybe last message from you to the audience.
So I would like to say, stay healthy and stay safe. This is a tough time which we are going through, but that it doesn't stop us going forward. My last message is for everyone during these COVID times, do not give up before you give your best.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya. And with this, I'd like to now invite Archana for closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
So thank you so much all the participants and investors who are joining us today. Thank you so much Chaitanya for joining us today and sharing your business idea with us. We would like to extend our thanks to our panel member Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am for sharing their insights. You can reach out to us at our business hotline number, which is 97176-83838. We encourage and invite all your suggestions, feedback, because that will help us in improving our process. You can connect with management team of Franchise India at their respective LinkedIn ID. That's the information on your screen. The recorded version of this particular webinar and lot of webinar summit which we have done is available at the Facebook page of Franchise India Brands. That's the site where you can go under video section and please watch all the previously done webinars. But before you go, we would like to invite you for tomorrow's webinar, which is 129th edition of this particular series. And we are inviting team of book events where Ms. Shruti and Mr. Harsh both are coming and talking about what kind of the business proposition franchisee model they are offering tomorrow for you. They are the leading, they lead the leading network of managed venues, and tomorrow they'll be talking about the kind of the presence they have in international and national market. So do not miss this chance. Please join us today at the same business hotline number, which is 97176-83838. You shall receive a registration link. Do registration today. Post registration, you shall receive a confirmation mail from our side. We request to do the registration today so that tomorrow sharp 12 p.m. you can join us for this particular great event. Thank you so much once again for joining us today. Stay safe, stay healthy, eat healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, friends. Good day. Bye.
Thank you.